A few months ago, Apple surprised us by launching a new budget iPhone, the iPhone 16e. But here's a question. Why didn't they call it the iPhone SE 4? By calling it 16e, Apple could be signaling a whole new budget lineup, one that sits alongside the SE series rather than replacing it. Maybe that means we'll see a 17th E next year, leaving the door open for a separate iPhone SE 4 launch down the road, possibly in 2026. Today, we're diving into the speculation and predictions surrounding the potential iPhone SE 4. Could it really be Apple's next big move? Let's get into it. Let's start with the iPhone 16e. It's got a 6.1-inch OLED display, improved battery life, and the new C1 modem. On paper, that sounds pretty good. However, with a price tag of $599, it's positioned well above the typical $400 to $450 range we expect from the SE series. So while it's a decent phone, it feels more like a budget version of the iPhone 15 rather than a true successor to the iPhone SE 3. There's growing speculation that Apple is holding back the SE 4 intentionally for a 2026 release. Why 2026? Well, Apple might be playing a strategic game here, spacing out product releases, managing production costs, and watching market trends. Think about it. The iPhone SE lineup has always followed a different release pattern compared to the flagship models. The SE1 launched in 2016, the SE2 in 2020, and the SE3 in 2022. If Apple sticks to that roughly 4-year cycle, an SE4 in 2026 makes perfect sense. Let's talk design now. What if the SE4 isn't just another budget phone, but a spiritual successor to the beloved iPhone 13 mini? That 13 mini was discontinued, but its 5.4-inch screen and compact design still have a passionate fan base. Bringing that screen back could fill the gap for people who want a smaller iPhone. Instead of creating an entirely new design, Apple could reuse the 13 mini's chassis and display panel, cutting down on production costs while still delivering a product that meets consumer demand. Reintroducing the mini size lets Apple highlight its environmental initiatives by recycling existing designs and components, fitting into its broader message about sustainability. If Apple does bring back the 5.4-inch screen, it's likely the SE4 will feature modern internals to keep it future-proof. We might expect a 5.4-inch OLED display, just like the one from the iPhone 13 mini, an A17 or even A18 Bionic chip depending on the release timeline, and a single-lens 48-megapixel camera system, possibly with improved night mode. For the battery, it'll likely be slightly smaller than the batteries in larger phones, but it should be efficient because of chip improvements. We might see Face ID or even Touch ID embedded in the power button for cost efficiency, USB-C, and possibly even MagSafe. Most importantly, though, is the price. A $499 starting price could be the sweet spot, affordable enough to attract budget-conscious buyers, yet high enough to support that premium OLED display and a flagship-level chip. Strategically, Apple needs to stay competitive, particularly in emerging markets, and they need to appeal to price-sensitive customers everywhere. With increased competition from brands like Samsung, Google, and even Nothing, Apple's current entry point of $599 and up might be pricing out too many potential buyers. Releasing an iPhone SE 4 at $499 would give Apple a true budget option, attract Android switchers, fill the demand for more compact phones, and boost Apple's ecosystem by making it more accessible. Since Apple already has a solid supply chain for the components used in the iPhone 13 mini, it wouldn't require a massive R&D investment to make it happen. Keeping the SE line alive allows Apple to appeal to educational sectors, governments, and bulk buyers, all of whom want durable, affordable devices that don't need constant upgrades. Here's a counterpoint. Some might argue that the ship has sailed on small phones. The trend is definitely toward larger screens, and many developers are now optimizing apps for bigger devices. However, not everyone wants a massive phone. While the 13 mini didn't sell as well as Apple hoped, it has an incredibly loyal fan base. For some users, one-handed usability, pocket friendliness, and a lighter weight are all more important than watching videos on a huge screen. By releasing the SE4 with a 5.4-inch screen, Apple sends the message that they still care about giving users a choice. Small phones are often preferred by older customers and younger users alike, making it a smart demographic move. Based on Apple's past SE releases and the rumored 4-year cycle, a 2026 release makes the most sense. We could see an announcement in the spring of 2026, possibly in March or April, featuring a recycled design from the iPhone 13 mini, focused on affordability and a compact size, priced around $499, and with a modern chipset and USB-C port. This would give consumers something to look forward to, especially those who feel left behind by the increasing size and cost of modern smartphones. Of course, there's a risk. If Apple decides to introduce the iPhone 17e and lowers the price of the 16e to $499, the entire SE line might lose its purpose. Apple's budget strategy may evolve in a different direction, one that no longer includes small phones, but simply cheaper versions of its main lineup. So, the iPhone 16e may not be the budget phone we were all hoping for, but it might not be the only one coming. Apple could still have another card up its sleeve, the iPhone SE4. With a potential return to the compact 5.4-inch form factor, a modern chipset, and a lower price tag, it could be the game changer Apple needs in the budget space.